I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy.
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
What are we drinking for this learning journey, Hayley?
We have White Claws on deck.
Yes, we do.
Locked and loaded, a mango. Bitches.
Yeah, I got the pure mango pack.
She's going mango all the way. It wouldn't have been my choice, but I am just a poor girl.
Listen, I didn't want to shell out for the variety pack because I don't drink them that much and I don't need 18 of them.
That's fair. You could pull a Hayley and just make it last the next 3 to 4 months.
I could, but then I had so I had to get, the single flavor, and it was mango, lime, cherry, or grapefruit, and mango is the only one of those that I want to drink. Maybe the lime.
I go opposite. I like the black cherry. I think that's my
Really?
favorite one. But mango's very good too. Don't get me wrong.
The black cherry one tastes medicinal to me.
I like medicine. What can I say?
I guess you do. Yeah.
I really do. I didn't even know I was going to be drinking today, so I can't really even complain.
Yeah, she's a hungover.
From 2.5 drinks over the course of 4.5 hours.
We are getting so old.
Yeah. And the thing is that we're not even actually that old yet.
No,
which
we're
makes
not.
me even more afraid for once we're like in our 30s.
True. I was just telling Alec, I was like, I think I have to start exercising because my back always hurts.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to strengthen those muscles.
It would. I think I have to. I've resisted as long as I possibly could.
And it's good for longevity, You want to be able to live when you're older.
I would like to live. Yeah, that would be good. And I feel like, I've been telling myself that horseback riding is exercise, but it kind of is, but doing it 2 or 3 times a week is really not.
You're like, I'm walking to get the horse and then I'm clenching my legs while sitting on the horse who's doing the running.
It is a workout. Like it definitely does take stamina, and like my core and my legs are always sore afterwards. So I know something's happening, but it's definitely not the same as like going to the gym.
And stamina. Yeah, stamina.
Stamina.
That was
What
really
did I say?
cute.
Stamina?
Yeah, you said stamina. That
I
was
always
cute.
have. And I've been corrected on that so many times and I never know the right way.
It's your own interpretation of the word. That's what you have. You have stamina, but you're trying to get more stamina. Stamina.
That's like I say execute instead of execute, which pisses Alec off. And he tells me that's my, what was the word? Memoir, like you said.
You have memoir. Kat has
Memoir.
execute, which is incorrect.
And now stamina.
Add it to the list.
Yeah.
We are list bitches. We're recording that after this
That's
episode.
true.
So.
I'm excited for my list bitch this week. Y'all will have to tune in.
Turn in for
list bitch. Also, speaking of Patreon, do we sound different, you guys?
I hope we do. If not,
fucking better, or we wasted almost $2,000. Actually, more than $2,000, right?
Yeah, it was $1,800.
Yeah. So thank you to our Patreons for these nice mics.
This is what we mean when we say all of the money from Patreon is going right back into the show.
At least for now.
One day we'll be
One day we'll pay
full-time
ourselves.
podcasters. We'll pay Alec first. He really...
Oh, he deserves money first, and then we'll talk about our own.
Yeah.
But hey,
salary.
listeners, if you guys can hear a difference, let me know. Because I was just listening to my AirPods, and those old mics had like a grating thing that was giving me ear fatigue. So I'm hoping this will solve that.
I hope so.
I think we sound great.
It sounds
let
great
us know.
to my
Awesome.
ears. I feel like we sound sprightly. Crisp.
Awake, not hungover.
Yeah, like we just did our we remembered to do our face routine after a night out, and then we woke up.
We've been exercising regularly.
I'm looking into buying running shoes. I'm serious. I don't think I'll get a gym membership. That seems like a little too much, but I'm thinking about jogging.
Okay, look at you. We can go to the gym together.
No, I will
so
not go to the
fun.
gym, but I will maybe jog once the weather cools down.
Okay, well, keep us posted on that.
It's mostly an excuse to buy new shoes.
Oh my God. You've been setting this up for weeks now. You actually have, because
I have.
you were like, I've been thinking about getting some exercise shoes, like if I ever want to exercise, which I won't, but like maybe.
It's just so weird to me. Like I don't have any sneakers that I could exercise in. They're all fashion sneakers. I do have one pair of free runs from like 2015 that I had like for working in the restaurant industry.
You don't want to use those.
No, I will not exercise in those. Those were, I needed black shoes as a hostess. But other than that, I don't have anything.
Pure nostalgia.
Yeah, I just like keep them in my closet to look at and remember the days that I could run more than 100 meters without dying.
Yeah, you're like, if I ever need to, in case of emergency, I have these shoes. They're like behind a glass wall that you'd break in case of
someone
running.
invites me on a walk, I have something to put on my feet if I must.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So keep us posted on that exercise regime. Interesting thing that I saved for the pod. We thought, not even we, I slept through this, but this morning Tommy woke me up and he's like, do you smell that? I'm like, no, what? He's like, does that smell like burning? And I sit up and I'm like, it does. He's like, I don't know where it's coming from. And he's searching all over the house. Turns out our fan, the standing fan in the bedroom, almost lit on fire, or so we thought. It has been starting up, going really slowly, and then eventually it'll build up to like actually going all the way around. But I think I know why, because I spray painted it black. This spray,
Hayley, you can't just spray paint things.
I did. It was fine for like 4 months.
And then you almost started a chemical fire.
Yeah, I guess some of the spray paint got in the motor. So I need a new fan now, and our house almost burnt down because it's all for the aesthetic, okay?
That is really scary. That's like, I think I told you this already, but like a month ago, Ghost lit his own tail on fire, and that was alarming. He has a big old chunk taken out of it now.
The scariest thing for me is that I would have easily slept right through it.
Yeah.
I did not smell a thing. It woke Tommy up, not I.
Yeah, I think about that too now that I live in an apartment, because I'm really anal about blowing out candles. Mm-hmm. And then I think about like, what if my next like upstairs neighbor or something just like leaves a candle burning? Or what if their cat's tail catches on fire and they don't see it and then it lights their couch on fire?
You're putting your life in the hands of your apartment mates.
I really am. What if I like knocked on their door and said, hi, I just want to know your stance on leaving candles on while you leave the house, even if it's just a quick errand. Like, what do you think?
And then one of them is a psychiatrist, and they're like, I have an appointment open tomorrow at 3. Do you want to stop by?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm now on anxiety medication, so I haven't been quite to that level as often.
I have noticed a difference in you.
Oh, me too. I am a new woman. I feel so good. We hosted trivia by ourselves this week, and that's something that normally would have sent me over the edge and my heart would have been pounding and my voice would have been trembling. I was not even slightly nervous.
You were in like teacher mode. You're like giving instructions and we're just very direct. I was impressed.
Well, thank you. I
was nervous.
Yeah. You didn't seem nervous. You seemed good. Yeah.
And that's in-person trivia for the listeners who
yes, bar
might
trivia.
not know that.
And I think on past episodes we said we'd be at Hampline every Thursday. That was my interpretation of what Kevin told us, but now he's putting us other places. So we'll try to keep you guys updated. It seems like kind of last minute when he tells us when we're going to be where. So check our Instagram.
We'll let you know when we know.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to, if you're in Memphis, come and see us. If you want to take a plane, take a train to Memphis.
Take an automobile. We'll see you at trivia. This week we're going to be at Rail Garden, but we would have already been there when this episode comes out, so sorry.
Time travel. Take the time machine down to Memphis.
I mean, why not? It's a good time. And maybe I'll bring my little dog.
Oh, yeah. Your temporary dog.
Yeah, I'm dog sitting for a couple weeks. The cutest dog I've ever seen in my fucking life. She's a mini Pomeranian and she looks like a monkey. Like, she does not look like a dog.
Yeah, not at all. She's very cute. I need to meet her in person, but I've seen plenty of pictures.
Yeah, I've been sending out pics. She's fucking cute. Her name is Peanut.
Yeah, so cute. She's the type of dog that'll get like picked up by a fucking eagle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she's the kind of dog that you do not leave unsupervised because that bitch will be gone.
She gone.
She gone. But yeah, check us out on Patreon. We will be recording
a new
List Bitch today.
Bitch.
That should be out when this episode comes out, unless a tragedy happens.
Hopefully no tragedies.
Hopefully no
For
tragedy.
so many reasons. We don't want tragedies. And of course, there's always trivia. We've been doing that every month. It was going to be quarterly, but we really upped our game.
Yeah.
And again, they're talking about trivia in person, and we do trivia on Patreon. They're two different things.
Listen,
they keep just saying trivia for both of them, and
we do.
If you're new, it's probably confusing.
We love trivia. We do it all the time. We talk about it.
Yeah, because you're like, I had a panic attack when we were doing trivia this week, and it's like, not for Patreon.
Patreon trivia is triggering for other reasons.
Yeah. And this next trivia that we're doing, I don't know when it'll be because we're not recording it today, but it'll be extra triggering because it'll be the Blue Adept episode.
Mystery.
Yeah. So good times. And I don't think I have anything.
We do have something. Patreon. All of our patrons, we have our live cocktail hour on tomorrow, I believe.
Whoa.
Yes, September 2nd. So come join us. I fucking love the cocktail hours because it's like, if you like us, then you must be pretty cool.
We need to pick a drink.
Oh my God, we do.
I know. Let's pick
Just
something
shots.
blue. I want something with blue curacao in it.
For Blue Adept.
Yes.
Well, we'll keep you all posted, but if you want to join us and just come and hang out, it's supposed to last for an hour, but we have definitely gone over an hour before, and we don't keep anyone hostage or anything, but we just have a good time and talk about all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, and you can show up late, you can leave early. It's very flexible. Don't feel any pressure. You don't have to turn your mic on. You don't even have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. We're chill. If you just want to listen and get the vibes.
And it will be at my house.
Ooh,
right? Because you gave your apartment tour, so now it's my turn.
Ooh, Hayley's apartment tour.
Yes, super exciting. I got some new pillowcases on the bed. Excited to show those off.
Yay, I can't wait to see them myself.
But other than that, if you want to join us, you can go over to patreon.com/nightclassy and we'll see you there.
Yes, we will see you there. And we breathalyzed. I blew a .012.
I blew a .000. Hungover queen.
Yes. So I am going first. And this is a Patreon pick from Caitlin the Canadian. And she, in her Patreon message, said that she always hears us talk about Canada and also show our asses about how ignorant we are about Canada. She didn't say it like that, but I knew what she meant.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok yesterday that it was two Canadians. The other Canadian had stitched the first ones, and they were talking about they're like, Canada's relevant. Like, we're one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but it's like no one knows about us. No one talks about us.
I talk about you.
I dream about you.
I love Canada so much. I've been there many a time, and you have a lovely country, and let me move there, please. Please. Anyway, so she suggested to us a few important historical events in Canada and let us pick. So I chose one, and this is the story of Marie-Josephe Angelique. She was an enslaved woman who fought against the system in a big way and over the years has become a symbol for Black resistance in Canada. Content warning. This story contains extreme descriptions of violence, a mention of a possible sexual abuse, and infant loss. So proceed with caution.
You don't even have to tell the lesson. I think we got it.
We've summarized it quickly. But however, it is a really important story. So if you can stomach it, please listen or at least maybe come back to it when you're in the right headspace. Because I had never heard of this, and I think that it should be more well known. I think it is pretty well known in Canada. I think she's a pretty popular historical figure, but here in the States, I've never heard of her.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, we are not in Canada.
No, we're very US-centric over here, as I'm sure any of our foreign listeners to the podcast have figured out. I don't know shit about anywhere else, so I'm sorry. But I got to learn thanks to Caitlin. So without further ado, Marie-Josephe was born in Madeira, Portugal around 1705, and we don't know much of anything about her early life, including whether she was born into slavery or sold into it. Madeira was an active slave port, so she was definitely around it, whether or not she was enslaved. And by her early teens, Maria was sold to a Flemish merchant named Nicus Block.
What is Flemish? Sounds disgusting.
Flemish? Finland. No, that's Finnish.
Oh, I thought it was, you're saying it like it was a product.
No, where are Flemish people from?
Looking it up.
Okay, weird. I didn't even think that, like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, he's from somewhere.
Yeah, I apologize for my ignorance. Thinking
Yeah, he's from Flemland.
Like, oh, has he got like some good phlegm or something?
Look,
Hock and loogies.
We stay consistent over here. We don't know shit about other countries.
Which is why we're here on our podcast teaching you all about things.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Flemish is relating to Flanders, the Dutch language spoken in Flanders, which is one of two Belgian languages, the people of Flanders. Where is Flanders?
So he's Dutch?
I'm about to look up where Flanders is.
I feel like I know nothing still.
Yeah, no, I don't.
More confusion.
Oh, Flanders, Belgium.
Okay.
So maybe Dutch language in Belgium?
Yeah, so he knows about chocolate.
I know
They
about
have chocolate in Belgium, I think, right? That's all I know about Belgium. But anyway, he sucks. He was a slave trader. He bought her and he took her on a ship to New England, which is in North America. If you aren't from around here, it's in North America. And there she lived for a few years before being sold to a French trader named Francois Poulin de Frenchville at the age of 20 in 1725. I knew that would tickle Alec. He's a French man named Frenchville. Yeah, it's very funny. He took her to his home in Montreal, Canada, which at the time was a really small city. It had only about 2,000 people. And he put her to work as a domestic slave. So she handled like the cooking and the cleaning of the home, random errands and chores, and occasionally worked on the family's farm. And this was pretty typical for an enslaved person in Canada. They didn't have the plantation slavery that we see in the American South and the Caribbean. It was mostly small scale domestic slavery. Marie was one of only a few slaves who lived with the family and resided in their home. During this time, Marie gave birth to 3 children. So I think she was enslaved by the family for, I think, like 8 years or so, 7 or 8. And during that time, she had 3 children, 1 son, and then I think a pair of twins, all of whom died before the age of 1. So very tragic. And birth records indicate that an enslaved man from Madagascar named Jacques César was the father of all 3 children. And he was owned by a friend of Francois. And it's unclear whether this was a consensual love affair or a forced relationship by the owners for reproduction, which is a really horrific thought. But every publication I read mentioned that, so I think it's fairly likely that that was the case. In 1730, Marie was baptized Catholic and given the additional last name Angelique. And it's thought that this was given to her by the mistress of the home after her own deceased daughter, which is like really like icky to me. But maybe like she was doing it like maybe her heart was in the right place. I mean, I don't want to say like a slave owner's heart was in the right place, but like I don't know if this was like a slight or like an honor, like trying
it's almost some kind of like weird replacement type thing.
It
but
feels
at the
icky.
same time, it's like you're playing two sides. It's like, okay, maybe she did care for her in a way and they had a relationship, but also you're enslaving.
Didn't have a good relationship.
They didn't.
And we'll get to that. And everything I read about Marie called her Angelique, and I didn't want to call her that because she didn't have a good relationship with this woman, so I feel like she probably didn't like going by that. I'm assuming a lot of things, but I don't know. That just seemed really weird to me.
Yeah, I agree.
In 1790, oh my God, I keep wanting to say 90. In 1733, the master of this estate, Francois, died. meaning that ownership of Marie passed to his widow, Teresa de Cognier. That same year, Marie asked Teresa for freedom. She's like, hey, the man of the house died. You're like struggling to run his business. Like, why don't you just let me go? I think that's a good idea. And Teresa said, no, I'm not going to do that. And this understandably infuriated Marie. She was fucking pissed, which of course she was. And she made sure that everyone in the household knew she was pissed.
She's slamming the dishes. She's slamming the cabinet.
She was doing all of that and more.
Stomping.
She's like, if I have to fucking be here, I'm going to make it everyone else's fucking problem. And like she did. She started talking back to Teresa. She even was threatening her. She was like, you're going to die by roasting. Basically insinuating that she was going to light her on fire.
I hope she does.
Yeah, she was just like, I don't fucking care anymore. She started acting hostile and fighting with the other servants in the house. So the house did have a few other enslaved people, but they also employed like free maids. And she was just like, fuck you to everyone. I don't want to be here. I think like maybe her mindset was like, if I just like make this place a living hell for everyone, she'll let me leave.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's like those TikToks where people are like, if I ever get kidnapped and they do something really annoying. Like, not the same thing, but...
a little. Yeah, definitely not the same thing, but I think the same idea. I think this was kind of a strategy on her part. And she was threatening people. Her favorite threat was to tell them she was going to burn them down in a fire. She was telling that to the servant. She was telling that to Teresa. A free white maid of the house quit her job because she couldn't take the constant fighting and the constant threats. And because Teresa could no longer control Marie, she decided to sell her. She made a deal with a man named Francois Etienne Cugnet, who lived in Quebec City. And the plan was to sell Marie to him for 600 pounds of gunpowder. I'm like, what is she going to do with 600 pounds of gunpowder, and why does that guy have it? But anyway, she was making this deal, but she couldn't send Marie right away because it was wintertime and the St. Lawrence River was flooded. So she brokered the deal but had to wait until the river thawed to send her down.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just that waiting time too. I'm sure the tensions were so high.
I mean, it was already high, and then this happened. Like, I think Teresa probably told Marie, she was like, you're not going to get your way. You know, imagine telling another person you're selling. It's unimaginable.
Yeah.
Beyond my comprehension. And so when Marie heard about this arrangement, obviously she freaked out. Like, she's like, you don't have any fucking right to sell me, A. And B, there were rumors that Cugnet planned to sell her down to the West Indies, where she could end up on a sugar plantation. And if you know anything about the West Indies sugar plantations, you know this was a especially horrific place for enslaved people, highly dangerous, highly brutal. So she was like, oh shit, you know? And it sucked too because it was winter and they were waiting until spring. So she had all this time to stew over it.
Think about it and anticipate.
Yeah. So she begged Teresa not to sell her. She's like, please don't do this. I'll be like a great servant to you. Like, I'll turn things around.
Yeah, I won't roast you. I'll slow cook you. It'll be
I'll put you in a crock pot. Yeah. No, she was begging, and Teresa was like, no, like, I don't care. You're going, basically. So when her pleas didn't work, she switched back to threats. And she, again, started telling Teresa that she was going to burn the home down with her in it. And she would live to be sorry for this, essentially.
She got the 600 pounds of gunpowder and used it to her advantage.
Yeah. She's like, better not bring that gunpowder in the house. Yeah. You'll be sorry. So for about a year at this point, Marie had been having a relationship with a white indentured servant on the estate named Claude Thibault. And so they're like boyfriend and girlfriend. They're in love, and fearing her impending fate, like not only is she going to the West Indies, but her and Claude are going to be separated. So together they planned an escape. They decided they were going to flee to New England.
Okay.
And when they were there, they would catch a ship back to Marie's homeland of Portugal. So to do this, they set fire to Marie's bed to create a diversion. Basically, the house was going up.
So she was not in it?
She wasn't in it.
Okay.
She lit her bed on fire and they ran.
Okay.
And this wasn't in Teresa's house. Teresa had sent her to live with another family because she just wanted her out, essentially. Yeah. So she was living somewhere else, and they ran away on foot. They did hide some food in preparation. They had been stocking food like out, in the surrounding woods or whatever, and picked it up. So they had something, except it was the middle of winter in Canada, so they did not make it far. They ended up being tracked down and captured in a nearby town of Chambly pretty quickly.
Dang.
Yeah. Claude was sent to jail and Marie was sent back to Teresa. And Teresa didn't punish Marie, but that's not because she was a good person and felt bad for her. It's probably because she was just didn't want to deal with it. She's like, you're going to be gone soon enough. And also, if she had her beaten, that could potentially diminish her quote unquote value. So she wasn't punished, and she was able to bring food to Claude while he was being held in jail. They kept their relationship going. And then a few months later, Claude was released from jail, and he had worked for Teresa as an indentured servant. So he went back to the house to pick up his final wages, and she gave them to him, but was essentially told him to go to hell, get off my property, don't ever come back here. And he didn't listen to that because he was still dating Marie. So whenever Marie was away, or whenever Teresa was away, he'd go visit Marie.
When Teresa's away, the couple
Claude and Marie will play. Yes. So they kept their relationship going, but by this point, it was spring. The river was thawing. And it looked like soon Marie really would be sent to Quebec City. Teresa was not budging on this decision. And she was obviously filled with dread that this might happen. And it was just making her angrier and more frantic. She was threatening Teresa as kind of just a last-ditch effort to scare her into not going through with the plan. Apparently, Marie also told a servant in the house that she planned to escape again soon. So she was like, I'm not going one way or another. And if I do go, you're going down with me. Then on April 10th, 1734, at 7 p.m., a great fire broke out in the merchants' quarter of Montreal. People ran and tried to take cover in the town's hospital, but due to strong winds, the fire spread through a large chunk of the city and destroyed the hospital in less than 3 hours.
Wow. And I feel like fires pretty much before, I don't know, when they started thinking about making buildings anti-inflammatory.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of it. Someone commented on one of our Instagram posts. They're like, you said anti-inflammatory when you, or anti-inflammatory when you meant flame retardant. Yeah. So I guess it's something we do a lot.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. You know what we mean.
It's basically the same thing, right?
Right. I agree with you.
But fires
flammable.
Spread quickly.
Yeah, for sure. It was probably, a lot of the city was probably wood. I've been to Quebec. It's a lot of Victorian wooden buildings. So they went right up. 45 homes were destroyed, probably more than that, but that's the official count. Thieves also took advantage of the mass panic, and they ransacked valuables from homes and the town's convent. So it was a huge deal. Like I said earlier in this learning journey, it was a small population. It was only 2,000 people. So 45 homes that probably had 4 an average of 4 or so residents per home. Like that was a large chunk of the population.
Yeah. And then you add stuff being stolen that maybe could have been salvaged.
Totally. And businesses being burned down. So it was a major disaster. People were angry and looking for someone to blame it on. Rumors quickly circulated that Marie was responsible for the fire. She had the reputation of being hostile and rebellious. And as we know, her favorite threat was that she was going to burn people down. So, I mean, a lot of people were pointing the finger at her. And she had lit a fire to escape before. So she had a history of it. Police arrested her the next day on April 11th, and she was taken to court the following morning.
The following morning.
Yeah,
they did it quick back then.
They were ready to get her done. Like they in and out.
Jeez.
Yeah. She was charged with arson, which was a capital crime punishable by death, torture, and or banishment.
She's like, please banish me.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I have that one? In 18th century New France, people accused of a crime were presumed guilty. It did not work the way the legal system does today. It was very different, especially if you were an enslaved Black woman. Like you did not have
I feel
any
like you
rights.
didn't have a chance to even start out.
No, she did not have a chance. There was also no jury, so you were expected to plead your case in front of a single judge who would decide your fate. And you also couldn't have a lawyer because lawyers were banned from practicing in the colonies by Louis XIV. So you were on your own, and you were also expected to be you were interrogated with no one essentially to help you. You had no one. You were just there. And Marie, who was 29 years old at the time, can you believe everything has happened to her and she's only 29?
She's so young.
Yeah. Yeah, she's only a few years older than us.
Yeah, we need to keep that in mind. We always joke about being old, but we're young. We're young. Okay, we're young.
We've been through nothing. So she was made to sit on a low bench called a criminal seat. And this was customary for capital trials in New France at the time. Basically, it was like a really low bench so that when people interrogated you, they could stand and like loom over you and intimidate you, make you feel small so you're more likely to confess.
That's so rude.
Yeah.
At least give them a normal size chair.
Right. Or make the other person sit down too. Like it must have been really threatening to have someone like standing over you, probably yelling at you.
Oh,
I
for
would
sure.
think.
I'm sure plenty of people are like spitting as they're yelling
Yeah.
too.
Ew. So despite this treatment, she held her own and she firmly proclaimed her innocence the entire trial. It lasted 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that it lasted that long. I kind of expected them to go in and immediately be like, okay, you're guilty. Here's your punishment the next day.
I mean, I don't think that it lasted 6 weeks because they were unsure. I think it lasted 6 weeks because people were angry about the fire, and this was a way to get their frustrations out.
Oh.
Because 24 witnesses were called, and none of the witnesses had actually seen Marie start the fire, but they were all eager to say they know she did it because like she has this reputation and this, that, and the other. So I think it was more like a fucked up opportunity for her to be like for the town to beat up on her, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. But
No,
the explanation
yeah.
checks out.
Definitely. And one of these witnesses was a 5-year-old girl named Amabel, who claimed that she saw Marie carrying hot coals up to the roof moments before the fire started. And the girl even identified the shovel that Marie had used. And when Marie heard this, she cried out, quote, "My little Amabel, come here and tell me who it is that told you to say this. I will give you a morsel of sugar." So
that just gave me goosebumps straight up.
I know. It's awful. And like, it makes sense. Like, I feel like someone probably did. Like, it's a child. Like, they just told her what to say. That's my assumption anyway. Despite interrogation tactics meant to scare, coerce, and confuse a confession out of Marie, like I said, she staunchly maintained her innocence. Despite this, and despite the fact that no real evidence was ever produced against her, despite eyewitness testimony from a 5-year-old, Marie was found guilty and sentenced to death.
To maintain your innocence in a situation like that in itself is so brave.
Right. Totally. Because it's like, you don't, like, if you did it, you don't, like, you know you're going to be convicted, I assume. So you could end the trial by confessing, but I don't think she did it. So she was just...
She stood by what she knew was true. And
she was really brave for denying it.
Yeah. And
I think if she had done it, she probably would have said so. Yeah, I think so too. And this is where it gets really graphic. So she was to have her hands cut off and be burned alive. That was supposed to be her punishment.
Pick one or the other. God. I mean, if you're going to, I'm not saying to do any of it, but it's like, if you're gonna burn someone alive,
isn't that enough?
Cut off their hands too?
I don't know. I think it was custom at the time too. If you got the death sentence, you were also tortured, and this was how they chose to do it. The sentence was appealed, though, through a superior court in Quebec City, which upheld the death sentence, but ruled against the hand cutting and being burned alive, but still said she would be tortured and then hanged, and then her body would be burned, which she was Catholic. So her body being burned was a punishment on its own that she wouldn't get a proper burial.
It's just sick.
Yeah. It really is.
And the fact that they went back and it was in the superior court and they're like, no, wait, let's rework this.
Yeah. And I think this was custom at the time for sentences like this. I think they had to go to a superior court.
Get it cleared.
So it wasn't like, but they, like, I love the superior court, which is still sentencing her to be tortured and hanged, is like, no, that's too much. Like, you guys need to take a chill pill, because what the fuck is wrong with you? This sentence was carried out on the morning of June 21st, 1734.
That's my brother's birthday.
Ooh.
June 21st, not the year.
That's like, not that this is even comparable in the slightest, but my birthday is January 6th. And so like now that's tainted forever because of the insurrection. And your brother's birthday is also tainted by this.
I'm sure every day of anyone's birthday is tainted one way or another.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's bad things happening all the time, but I feel like people talk about January. They're like, oh yeah, January 6th. Like, it's just like, what, you know, it's like September 11th.
Yes,
like,
it is.
It's a day. And so that's my birthday.
At least it is for, you know, probably about half of the United States.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to compare that to September 11th either, because I mean,
it's just a date
more
that you
people
know.
died in.
Yeah.
It's like it's an event that is referred to by the date.
Right.
Unfortunately for me.
Woo! More birthday anxiety.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Oh my God, we might be able to celebrate your birthday this year.
I think we might be able to.
Girl.
I'm still not like excited about it, but if you want to do something, I think I could be down. Of
course. I love celebrating birthdays.
I don't. In any case, so back to the serious stuff. Marie, like we said, she was sentenced to torture before she died. And so she was tortured in her jail cell using a medieval tool called a brodequins. And the way it worked was her legs were tied to planks of wood and then twisted to crush the bones.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And the quote unquote reason, like, I use that word very loosely because there's no reason to do this to anyone, but the reason given for this torture was to get her to confess, because she still hadn't confessed, and they wanted her to name her accomplices because the court wanted to go after Claude too. The town had not forgiven him for helping an enslaved woman escape.
Yeah.
And they like quote unquote suspected that he helped her start the fire, and they wanted her to name him so they could punish him too.
They're like, surely there's no way you did this alone. And
right.
we know you did it. So confess and tell us who helped you.
Exactly. Like, they were just bloodthirsty.
Yeah. We've made up our minds, so go ahead and make your confession
Go ahead
fit.
and like, we're going to crush your legs until you tell us what we want to hear. During the torture, she did break down and confess to starting the fire. I mean, just because she wanted it to end. She was like,
anyone would.
She was begging them to just kill her. She's like, I confess, like, just kill me now. Like, please stop. I think we all know that a confession under duress like this is not a reliable confession. And the whole time, though, even as her legs are being slowly broken, she refused to name Claude as a co-conspirator.
Oh, that just gave me goosebumps too.
I know, it's so sad. It sounds like they really were in love the way that, I mean, they stuck together through so much. After the torture, Marie-Josephe Angelique was dressed in white and made to carry a burning torch as a symbol of her crime. She was transported to the place of execution, which was the Notre Dame Basilica, in a garbage cart. When she got there, she was made to confess to her crime and beg the pardon of God, the king, and the people before she was hanged. And just to kind of like, just as like a really sad, ugly detail, an enslaved Black man named Matthew LaVille was made to carry out the torture and execution.
Oh my God.
And I think we can assume like he did not want to. Marie's body was left on display for 2 hours before being placed on a pyre and burnt, and her ashes were scattered in the wind. The trial and execution of Marie-Josephe Angelique reveals a lot about the brutal institution of enslavement in Canada. We have really thorough records from her court trial. I think it was all transcribed, so it shows a window into what slavery looked like in Canada. And also, I mean, just this like prosecution of her and persecution in general, I think reveals a lot about people's attitudes and what enslaved people had to live with. And this system operated legally for over 200 years.
Man.
And I think that at least as an American, I tend to forget that this stuff happened in Canada too. And we it should not be forgotten. Like this terrible things happened everywhere.
It's so important to talk about. And I forget that it happened in Canada as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny that the patron was like, which patron was Caitlin? That Caitlin was like, I noticed that y'all like don't know a lot about Canada, so here's this super depressing but very important
Everything
story.
else she picked was like also depressing and important. And maybe I'll do some of the ones she picked later down the road because she had some good ideas. Yeah,
but obviously it's so important, and I'm really grateful to learn about it. But I love that this was one of the go-tos out of several depressing.
Honestly, this was the first one she suggested. So I looked it up and I was like, this is it. Like, this is an amazing story. I mean, amazing, I use loosely, an important and harrowing story. Yeah. But I didn't even research the other ones. But they sounded interesting based on the titles. I'll probably go back and look them up. But yeah, so it's possible, and I would argue very likely, that Marie did not start the fire, but was used as a scapegoat. Marie was Black, enslaved, and a foreigner. She was also outspoken, strong-willed, and confident. So she was not only an easy target due to her status as an enslaved woman, she embodied what white society in Quebec feared, and they made an example out of her. But despite all the injustices and atrocities committed against her, Marie remained strong and defiant until the very end. Historians argue back and forth over whether or not she did start the fire. Original analysis, all like original histories written about this all kind of took the judge's verdict at face value and like assumed that she did start the fire, but more recent publications argue that she was innocent and used as a scapegoat for an accidental tragedy. One historian argues like it was probably just unclean chimneys and an accidental cooking fire.
Yeah, shit like that
stuff
happens
burns
all the time.
Exactly. And
you spray paint your fan one time and the whole house burns down.
Yeah, as we know, a fire can happen anytime, anywhere. So, and people were angry, so they were just looking for an easy target to pin it on. Also, according to historian Denise Beaugrand-Champagne, the rumors attributing responsibility to Marie were possibly originally started by another enslaved girl named Marie Mignon, and she was a cook who possibly started the fire herself. She was working as a cook where the fire started, so she could have done it by accident and then deflected blame and punishment by, accusing someone else. It's very possible. Regardless of whether or not Marie righteously started the fire in an act of resistance or was wrongfully accused, she's a symbol of Black resistance and in recent decades has been the subject of books, plays, songs, and poems. In 2012, the public square in Montreal outside the City Hall was named Place Marie-Josephe Angelique. So rest in peace, Marie-Josephe Angelique, and long live her legacy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rest in power.
Mm-hmm.
That's an insanely sad story.
Yeah.
But like we said, so important. I'm so glad you got to tell it.
Me too. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for this suggestion. Our Patreons are really so much better at picking stories than we are.
I know.
I'm amazed every time.
I have like tunnel vision. So
yeah.
If you're tired of hearing about the typical stories, at least that I cover.
Same. I have like 3 interests.
Be like Caitlin.
Yeah.
And join Patreon so you can tell us what to do.
Exactly. Please do. My sources are the Marie-Josephe Angelique Wikipedia page, Marie-Josephe Angelique by Afua Cooper on CanadianEncyclopedia.ca, Marie-Josephe Diet Angelique by Uwal A. Nielsen on blackpast.org, and Life Story Marie-Josephe Angelique on newyorkhistory.org.
Thank you for that learning journey.
You're so welcome. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. We want to plug ourselves this week. We are our own sponsor.
We're our biggest fans.
And you can be our own sponsor too by joining our Patreon. If you don't know, Patreon is a place where you can get extra content. You can get free merch like stickers and handwritten cards. You can get access to our Zoom cocktail hours by donating once a month and helping the show.
It really does help us too. You all, it takes money to keep this thing going and we love doing it, but that extra support definitely helps keep the show actually running, and that is no joke. Also, when you talked about the Zoom once a month, when I immediately think of my time of the month. And for me, it's not even that anymore. It's the Zooms. That is my time of the month.
We literally, you guys, we look forward to it all month. We get on Zoom with any Patreon who wants to hang out. It's like hanging out with our friends. We can chat. We talk about random things. We reveal way too much about our lives and say a lot of stuff.
And it's every Patreon tier. So no matter what level you join at, you can join into the Zooms, but there are different perks to each tier. It's starting at just $5 per month. You can be a night classologist, or for example, there are tiers in between, but we have had a lot of new night cats recently, and that's the tier where you get all of the extra content, but you also get to choose a lesson for myself or Kat to cover in one of these episodes.
Yeah, just like Caitlin did with our episode today. Not only that, you get to hear our List Bitch episodes. That's where we teach a lesson like we normally do, but it's in list form. So, for example, the one we're recording today, which should be on Patreon now, mine is on scams. I researched some of my favorite scams, and I'm going to tell Hayley all about it. So if you want to hear that, check out our Patreon.
Ooh, I love some scams. Now, I want to give a sneak peek, but I don't think I will. You'll have to just go over to Patreon and see what my list is on.
She's secretive.
I'm scamming you all. Just kidding.
And if you want to feel like you're smarter than us, which I'm sure you already do feel like that, you can listen to our trivia episodes. That's where Alec pulls trivia questions from past episodes, and Hayley and I show down and compete to see who can answer the most of them.
It is highly competitive.
highly competitive and we're highly bad at it. So
yes, but it's fun. It's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
A fun train wreck where nobody dies.
No one gets hurt yet.
Yeah, not yet, but we've come close before. There have been score disputes.
Drama.
Mm-hmm.
So head over to Patreon. Join the drama. Join us for our time of the month every first Friday for those Zoom virtual cocktail hours.
Yes, that is at patreon.com/nightclassy.
Welcome back.
Hello.
All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Evelyn Walsh McLean and her husband Edward were on vacation in Europe in 1910, and they decided that they wanted to meet with a jeweler named Pierre Cartier, and he was a famous jeweler. The Cartier family had been jewelers for a long time, and one thing to know about Evelyn and Edward is that they were rolling in cash. Edward was the son of the owner of the Washington Post and Cincinnati Enquirer.
Oh, Cincinnati boy.
Cincinnati. He was flush with cash. Apparently, Cincinnati really did well for him. So,
wow.
Good for him. I'm jealous. And anyway, Evelyn was the daughter of a wealthy miner. The title of her memoir is Father Struck It Rich.
Oh, I wish that was the title of my memoir.
Me too. I wish it was a review of my memoir or something.
I wish
like that
it were
even.
my Instagram bio.
This is my worst nightmare too, because you've said execute in your lesson and now you said memoir in your lesson.
Dang
so.
it.
It's an impossible habit to break.
What is it? How do you say it?
Memoir.
Memoir. That just feels too fancy to me.
Yeah.
Well, in America we would say
it's
memoir.
like when people say La Croix.
Yeah, it's just not me. I can't get with it.
Can you pass me a liquire?
It's like I say the Cincinnati Enquirer. Just flop it every time.
I had my internship at the Cincinnati Enquirer.
My father struck it rich. It's the whole thing.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Okay, so naturally, they're very wealthy. They want to buy jewels and fine things. So Pierre, the jeweler, wanted to show them a particularly unique diamond with centuries-old history. This diamond was A, massive, and B, blue, thanks to trace amounts of boron in its crystal structure.
Was it a real diamond?
It's a very real diamond.
I didn't know they could be blue.
Yes, it is blue and it is possibly cursed. Pierre told them about a man named Tavernier. That's totally wrong. I even practiced.
Oh, I'm sure I butchered all the French names in my story too. I didn't even bother looking him up, which I probably shouldn't admit, but sorry.
Where's Kelly when we need
her?
So, Pierre told them about a man named Tavernier or something like that who traveled to India. And while he was in India, he stole a large blue diamond from the Hindu goddess Sita, wife of Rama. And this was allegedly the catalyst for the curse. Definitely not made up by some Westerner to try to mystify the diamond's future owners.
Yeah.
But Tavernier went on to sell the diamond. And right after that, he took a trip to Russia where he was torn apart by wild dogs.
What?
The death was attributed to the stolen diamond.
I'm just imagining Peanut, the mini Pomeranian that I'm babysitting, like thousands of her.
She was once a stray.
Yeah, they can take like one little flea bite of him at a time, but if there's enough of them.
If there's enough, they could definitely have taken him down.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of a bunch of wild dogs randomly choosing one person.
Does that actually happen? That is nuts.
It makes me think like boars. Wild hogs would do that.
That's what I thought you were going to say. No. And you said it happened in Russia. There's like dangerous animals in Russia. There's moose. They could do some damage.
For
wolves,
sure.
Bears, a fucking dog.
The dogs? Yeah.
Not the dogs.
That's the story. It wouldn't be the last death attributed to this stolen diamond either. Today, we're going to learn about the alleged curse of the Hope Diamond.
Oh, I always pictured it being red. I didn't know it was blue.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, it's in the Smithsonian in D.C. right now.
Clearly, I haven't seen it if I thought it was red.
Okay, I'm sure.
I feel like we've talked about... Oh, you talked about the tiara with the blue diamond. Is that this?
I don't even remember. No, it was not in a tiara.
Oh, okay. There was some blue, jewel that you did a lesson on once. I don't think it was this.
I don't think so either.
I
had a moment of panic for a second.
Cursed. I think the royal jewels, the royal jewel heist. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The Irish crown heist. Yeah. Oh my God. You made me
sorry.
shit my pants for a second.
No.
I'm like, how did I forget doing all of this research?
I mean, it could happen.
It could. Once we get up there,
yeah,
it could definitely happen.
There's a lot of podcasts I listen to that have done that by mistake. I feel like I've heard it happen more than once. I can't imagine it happening to us because we cover such a broad thing. I feel like if you only covered true crime or something, it'd be easier for them to blend together.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it never happens. I'm probably
maybe we're misremembering
my own foot right now,
a previous life or something too.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Bring that into it. Little alternate universe type situation. I'll have Alec ask him to look up pictures eventually, but just picture a huge blue diamond.
I can picture it. How big is it? Are we talking golf ball sized or marble?
Like the size of an egg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's massive. Evelyn did buy the diamond and she loved it, but we're going to rewind, record scratch. The earliest records of the diamond show Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, the French gem merchant, purchasing it in 1666. Back then, it was actually called the Tavernier Blue, and it wouldn't be until later that the diamond was renamed. Tavernier described the stone as violet, which apparently was used interchangeably with blue to describe color at that time.
Okay.
And it has a perfect clarity. And like I said before, she's a big bitch. She weighed in, they estimate, at about 115 carats when it was initially found or stolen, however they got it.
That means nothing to me. I've never been able to figure out the carat thing.
I know that 115 is a lot. It's the same with money. It's after you go over $1 million, you might as well be speaking a different language. But she's a big bitch. So the timeline on this whole thing is murky at best. What can be said with the most certainty is that the diamond originated in India. It was formed 1 billion years ago, and Tavernier obtained it sometime between 1640 and 1667.
And then he was eaten by Pomeranians.
Yes, ravenous Pomeranians. They didn't even know why they were attacking him. They just went for it. They're like, I think we're hungry. So he got the diamond and he sold it amongst with a bunch of other diamonds that he found in India or stole. We're not really sure. To King Louis XIV.
Oh, wow. Double feature.
I know. I love when we have those links. So he sold this to King Louis XIV, and he decided that he wanted to customize the diamond. He wanted a, quote, piece to remember. The whole process of customizing it took 2 years, but when he was finally finished, the king had a triangular-shaped 69-carat gem the size of a pigeon's egg that took the breath away as it snared the light, reflecting it back in bluish-gray rays. It was set in gold and supported by a fine ribbon. King Louis wore it on his neck during special events, and it's so large and stunning, it got nicknamed the Blue Diamond of the Crown and French Blue. But the king, shortly after, died of gangrene, and his children suffered similar fates. All but one of his children did not survive past childhood.
Okay, but it's the curse, not because everyone had a horrible diet back then.
Exactly. Yeah, because we all know diamonds are girls' best friends, not King Louis's best friend.
Apparently not.
King Louis XV inherited the diamond and asked the jeweler to reset it for the Order of the Golden Fleece. And then eventually, I guess he turned out fine. Maybe the curse skips a generation. But eventually, Louis XVI inherits the diamond. And it's thought that he let his wife, Marie Antoinette, ever heard of her? wear the Hope Diamond. But others think that this cannot be because the diamond was supposed to be reserved for only the king to wear.
That doesn't mean shit.
I know. And also it's like, I don't know, knowing Marie Antoinette's fate.
Yeah,
like,
and the
maybe
king can let whoever the fuck he wants wear the diamond.
He's the king.
Like, he probably didn't give a shit about that diamond.
Yeah, he probably
shiny
uses, like,
fucking rock.
a golf ball or something.
It's like, here, wear it on your neck and stop nagging me.
Yeah,
you can
go
wear the
away.
diamond.
Go eat your cake. But they use that as proof that the diamond was cursed and it cursed Marie Antoinette. So the diamond was stolen while Louis XVI and his family were imprisoned early on in the French Revolution during the Reign of Terror. Many other items were stolen from this time, but a lot of them were recovered. But the French blue never was. It had seemingly disappeared from history for quite a while. And as we all know, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were sent to the guillotine in 1793. So they're like, it's the diamond, not
all the horrible things they did.
the people.
Not monarchy. Couldn't be.
Am I the drama?
It's the diamond.
It's definitely the diamond. Some people point to their deaths as, a result of owning the blue diamond, and they think that the diamond was most likely swept off to England as it had been stolen from French royalty. So they're just trying to keep it, under the radar. A few years go by and the diamond, or what they think to have been cut from the French blue, reemerges in England. It looked much different and they're like, I don't know, is this it? It's blue, it's big. And they assumed it was until it was confirmed in 2008 that was the original.
How do they know?
They looked at something about the reflections in it that they were able to measure back then, or I don't fucking know. It was really hard to understand.
That you can do that. I refuse.
Well, geologists did it. It was big news.
They said they did it.
I wish I could explain to you, but as I'm reading, I'm like, this is so complicated to my little brain that I'm just going to believe them.
If you gave me a chunk of like blue quartz and told me this is a blue diamond, I would believe you. There's no difference.
Sure. Oh, for sure.
No difference, none.
I could get a glass engagement ring and I'm like, even better, I can replace it whenever it needs to be replaced.
The whole thing about diamonds is the clarity. Glass is clearer than a diamond. Yeah, give me a chunk of glass. Better yet, give me an ice cube.
Give me some hot glue.
Yeah.
An ice cube.
Yeah. Give me those like little glass beads that sometimes they put in vases.
Give me some silica balls.
Yeah. Give me those things that you pour water on and then they like turn into little balls of jelly.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. We have so many good ideas.
I mean, who needs diamonds when you have, are they called chummies?
I don't know.
What you call them?
I've
just
never
called
even
them
heard
something. What did you say?
Chummies.
I did not say
you
chummies.
did.
I did
then
not.
What did you say?
Rewind the tape. I don't know what I said.
I missed it too.
I said those little like blue balls that you pour water in and they turn into little jelly
gummies?
balls.
I said gummies.
Okay. You can't eat them.
You could if you wanted to.
If you really wanted to. You'd probably get sick.
I have had the urge to eat those things before.
That's like, have you seen the TikTok where someone like pours a bunch of like the dry ones in their bathtub and then turns the water on and then it fills up like their entire bathroom and they're like crying because
they made
it's shoving them down the drain?
Yeah. I have not, but that sounds absolutely amazing.
It is.
I made one of those like sensory bottles with my students my first year of teaching, and we have those gel balls and I just poured them all in the bottle and then filled up with water. I'm like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna you'll see the balls will be bigger. And something happened, like the top like barely got touched and it went poof.
Yeah,
and like the next morning the balls went everywhere. It was a huge mess.
First year teacher mistake.
Oh my God, so many mistakes every day. Was a new mistake.
Every day, every day was just a mistake. The first year of teaching is just one big mistake. Yeah.
Oh, but we made it. Barely. Okay, so this is the diamond. It reemerges in England. You know, it had to do a little witness protection program. Several sources say that it was owned by King George IV of the United Kingdom, but no official records exist of his ownership in the archives at Windsor. How do you say it?
Windsor.
I didn't even know what you were trying to say.
You're like, Hayley, English,
Windstorm?
It's hard because there's a D, but you don't pronounce the D.
That is hard.
It's so
poor
annoying.
baby.
I am a poor baby. So, King George, they think that his fate was related to owning the diamond because he was one of the most hated rulers. Due to his lifestyle, he ended up becoming obese. He was blind from cataracts and then died of gastrointestinal bleeding and left behind tons of debt. And then they had to sell the diamond to repay the debt. Apparently.
At least they had the diamond.
The diamond
They should have sold it sooner.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things that it's like maybe it has an addictive energy where you don't want to sell it. You'll do anything. It's like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you're sitting in your bed, like your bed chambers, just staring at it, and it's telling you to keep eating mincemeat until you die of gastrointestinal bleeding.
Oh my God, sounds so painful. The next confirmed owner was Thomas Hope, a rich banker in London. He bought it for somewhere between $65,000 and $90,000. But after he died, his brother Henry Filio Hope inherited the diamond and documented it in his gem catalog that was like published and people could look at.
Okay.
It's like, tell me you're rich without telling me you're rich. Just broadcast all of your precious jewels.
I want a coffee table book of that. The gem catalog. That's fun.
Amazing. And this is when it became known as the Hope Diamond, but then he also died that same year. After that, Henry's wife and his nephews and nieces all battled each other in court for 10 years over who got what of his leftover inheritances to pass on.
Okay.
They all wanted to own the gem collection, but in the end, it was all split up. So the person to inherit the Hope Diamond was Henry's oldest nephew, Henry Thomas Hope. And it actually ended up
His name was Henry Thomas Hope.
Yes.
Okay, well, obviously you give him the Hope Diamond.
Well, all of
they
their
were all
last
named
names.
Hope. Oh my God.
That's why it was so complicated.
Sorry, that was so dumb.
I loved it. The Hope family was torn apart by the diamond. It was displayed in some exhibitions, and Henry's wife, Anne, inherited the diamond when he died in 1862. From there, the diamond swapped many owners in the following decades, and for one reason or another, all of these marriages fell apart or the families fell apart, and they all faced these financial troubles, which forced them to sell the diamond. So this just ended up solidifying people's belief that the diamond was cursed. The diamond ended up traveling across the pond to its newest owner, Simon Frankel, a famous diamond dealer in New York City. Shortly after he got the diamond, Frankel's business fell on hard times, and Simon referred to the Hope Diamond, and he said it was a hoodoo diamond.
Oh no.
Yeah. I wasn't even sure if I should even like say that here. I don't know what the connotations are, so maybe we can.
What is that?
It's like African voodoo.
Yeah,
right?
but it's not voodoo.
Yeah.
It's like different.
It's like a type of like spirituality.
Yeah.
But it came from India, so it sounds like he's just lumping everyone who's not white and English into like a spiritual cursed danger.
And it's like, for me, I don't know what you all think. You all make up your minds. I personally don't think the actual diamond is cursed. I think bad things just happen, and that this story was completely blown up to increase the value.
If you are the kind of
mystique.
person that can own something like that has the means, like, you're probably shitty. you're probably gonna get what's coming for you. Like, I think that's just what it is. And it's like shitty that like there's even a rumor that it's cursed, because I feel like throughout history, we've had the tendency, like anything that comes from a non-white culture is somehow like dark and cursed.
Yes,
Like,
especially if it's
racist.
stolen.
Yeah.
It's like the typical Indiana Jones
Yeah,
type. Yeah,
exactly.
So he fell on hard times. He blamed it on the diamond. He ended up selling it for $400,000, which would be about $1 million today, to a man named Sultan Abdul Hamid. Pretty much right after he bought the diamond, his life got messed up. Hamid's did. His finances forced him to then sell the diamond. There was this military revolution in which he was deported and ended up dying in captivity. And in 1914, Pierre Cartier, the man at the beginning of the story, bought the diamond, and he reset it in order to convince Evelyn to purchase it. And he was able to sell it to the McLean family. This ownership is probably the most well documented of them all. The purchase of the diamond was in a news article that described how they tried to back out of the sale after hearing about the curse, and other accounts say that they just played it up to increase the mystique and value around the diamond. Yeah, they just wanted
attention.
Definitely. Evelyn wore the diamond all the time. She wore it around her neck on a necklace, like every day, running errands out in town.
What? This woman did not have anxiety. Because are you fucking kidding me?
Just wait. I mean, they must have just been rolling in it, because she would also allow her Great Dane to wear it on his collar.
I would do that. I would put it around Ghost's neck before I wore it to the grocery store.
Neck. Like, you're more responsible than me. Take the diamond.
Well, at least he doesn't leave the house.
That's a good point. I think this dog was leaving the house though, and it'd be so easy for someone to just like bend down, pet your dog, and possibly snatch the diamond.
Or the dog like itches its neck and breaks the chain.
It's insane. Just completely out of touch and delusional. In my opinion,
I kind of love that.
Well,
putting it on the dog. I feel like she's making a statement. I don't know what the statement
making
is.
A statement. You're like, I want
something.
To understand.
Yeah.
You're like, eat the rich, but also
eat the rich, but also
I could eat me. I could be rich.
You could take a bite or two of me. You know, if it's a fair trade.
Yeah, if it's little Peanut, the little Chihuahua,
I'd let
nibble.
her take a bite.
The McLeans threw tons of parties, and at these parties, they would have these games that they called Find the Stone games. Evelyn would hide the diamond somewhere, not even in the house, somewhere on their property, and the guest had to find it.
What? That's like when you're a kid and you hide your stuffed animal and you're like, Mom, find my stuffed animal. That seems so weird. Why would anyone want to play that?
I don't know. There must have been like prizes or something. It's not like they got to keep the diamond, but this was a common thing, the Find the Stone games.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what's the most valuable thing I own that I would like show off by hiding
my MacBook is probably the most expensive thing on my mattress, maybe.
My car.
Yeah, my car, but it's like I don't even own that. It's I still am paying that off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hide my car. Whoever finds it gets to take over the payment.
I didn't even buy these, but like my teeth, the braces were wildly expensive.
Yeah, what else? I don't think I have anything. I have like one ring that I inherited, but I don't even think that's worth $1,000. I don't know.
Just kidding.
I have like a bowl of jewelry that I never touch because I always forget to wear jewelry. It's somewhere in there.
Every day you're like, where's the ring?
Yeah, find the ring.
The McLeans hired a former Secret Service man to provide security for these events, so at least she cared about it enough to hire security, but the fun fizzled out. Evelyn was friends with President Warren G. Harding, and they shared a mutual friend named Gaston Means. Gaston was a former FBI agent, and when Charles Lindenberg's son was kidnapped, Gaston went to Evelyn and told her that he knew where the child was being kept and that he just needed $100,000 to get the baby back. And then him and Evelyn could be heroes.
What?
What are you? What are you whatting?
That just doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I needed to go back and explain.
No, you don't need to explain.
Right. It doesn't make sense, right? The average person would be like, I'm going to call the police. This is crazy. What do you mean you know where the Lindbergh baby is?
Yeah, and he knew her?
Yeah, he knew her. They were friends.
It's like, my friend is, that would be like, imagine if I called you up and I'm like, Hayley, look on the news. I know where that baby is.
I know. And I don't even think he knew the Lindbergh family. So it just makes no sense. But money ain't a thing for Evelyn. So she gives it to him.
I mean, she sounds like her heart was in the right place.
For sure. Her heart was in the right place. Did not turn out well. Means took the money and ran. The Charles Lindbergh baby was already dead at that point in time. And this is a downhill turn for the McLean's lives. 2 of the McLean children ended up dying young shortly after that. Mr. McLean had an affair with another woman that was revealed, and then he was committed to an insane asylum in his 40s, which is where he died. And you know it's bad when in the early 1900s you commit a man to an insane asylum.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
And when Evelyn died, the diamond was sold to cover all of the debt that they had accrued because the Washington Post had gone bankrupt.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that...
It bounced back, though.
I guess, but dang, that was a lot of bad fortune. So everyone is like, obviously, this has to do with the curse of the diamond. The Hope Diamond was sold to Harry Winston, a diamond merchant in New York, who actually bought all of the McLean's jewelry. And later down the road, the Smithsonian Museum somehow convinced Harry to donate the Hope Diamond for their gym exhibition. And he agreed. He didn't sell it to them or anything. He just gave it to them. And I think that maybe it was some type of bribe or something like that.
Maybe. But I mean, also it's just like, I feel like a flex for rich people to donate expensive artifacts they have to a museum. Yeah. It gives you bragging rights. And you're like, I gave that to them.
Here's why I think it's a bribe, though, is because he agreed and then he just mailed this diamond in a box through the postal service. Like,
what?
He didn't make the postal service aware that that's what they were shipping. He didn't hand deliver it. He didn't hire someone.
Sounds like he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, what if maybe it's a fake? Did he send them a fake?
No, it is not a fake. 100% not a fake. It is the real thing. It showed up fine, but that's why I was like, I wonder if there is blackmail or something involved. Like, he was just like, let me send the diamond, and then if it gets lost, then that's a fuck you to you guys. Like, neither of us get to have it.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's just like he just is dumb and like doesn't understand.
Maybe. I have no idea. And that's totally me making a wild.
Are you saying it's blackmail or a bribe?
I don't know. I'm saying that there's something weird about a millionaire buying all of the McLean's jewelry and then giving up one of the largest diamonds in the world and just shipping it through the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Very weird.
So
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm saying. I was just letting my imagination kind of run wild with that one.
It's definitely weird.
But it could have been totally harmless. It could have just been like, I'll save a lot of money by just
he was probably just like
it.
too lazy to hire an armored vehicle.
I guess, but he got the armored vehicle for sure when he bought all of their other jewelry, right?
Yeah, but then he'd have to pay them to take it to the Smithsonian.
Oh my gosh. Well, thankfully it arrived just fine, but the mailman who delivered it was not fine. Shortly after he delivered it to the Smithsonian, his legs were crushed in a tragic accident.
What happened?
It was a car accident.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Weird.
Insane. So it's like, there are some times where I'm like, maybe it is cursed. But then I'm like, you put energy out there that sometimes can get returned.
Back.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure if you tracked anything as old as that diamond, there'd be just as many bad things that happened around it. You know, like
For
bad things
sure.
happen all the time.
Yeah, statistically, bad things are going to happen, or so my anxiety says. The Hope Diamond remains a permanent fixture in the Smithsonian's gem collection and is said to be insured for $250 million.
Damn.
That is what I have, but also a New York Times article from 1911 covering the diamond gave a list of supposed cases of ill fortune after someone either possessed or even just held the diamond. I'm not going to read all of them. I'll just read a few that I've highlighted because some of them are pretty tragic. I mean, they're all tragic, but also there have been no supporting documents or evidence to confirm any of these.
Yeah, they made it up.
So do you want to hear it or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Kanitovsky loaned it to Miladou, who was murdered by her sweetheart.
Ooh.
And then there was Simon Mensharides, I'm so sorry, who had sold it to the Turkish Sultan, was thrown from a precipice along with his wife and young child.
The fuck?
Nicholas Fouquet, an intendant of France, borrowed it temporarily to wear it, but was, quote, disgraced and died in prison. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And jeweler William Falls, who recut the stone, died a ruined man. Just the craziest titles.
Yeah.
Or descriptions. No further detail. I don't know what it means to be disgraced and died in prison or to die a ruined man, but there were a bunch others. So
wow.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say if the diamond is cursed or not? My sources are from Wikipedia for the Hope Diamond and the Tavernier Blue, The Curious Case of the Hope Diamond by Highlight History, The Story of the Hope Diamond on the Bright Side, The Epic Journey of the Hope Diamond by Richard W. Wise, and The Curse of the Hope Diamond by Jennifer Rosenberg on ThoughtCo.
ThoughtCo. All right. Well, thank you for that learning journey, and thank you guys so much for listening. If you have not left us a rating on your podcast listening app of choice, please do that. Drop us some 5 stars. We really appreciate it. Remember to tell your friends about this podcast. If you say a fun fact that you learned on this podcast, make sure you give us credit for it because we like that. We appreciate that. And check out our Patreon if you want to give us some extra support. We will see you at Cocktail Hour tomorrow. And as always, thank you for listening. We love you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.
Great episode, y'all.
Thank you.